Welcome back to Video Game News Daily, the only news update for video game enthusiasts who want to impress their friends with how much they know about the games industry. To get notified of new episodes, sign up to the mailing list at signup.videogamenewsdaily.com. It's Thursday, the 27th of November 2025. Let's get into it. Fortnite is down along with a number of other games. If you tried to log into Fortnite and got stonewalled, it wasn't just you rage-clicking the login button. Epic's backend services ran into trouble, taking Fortnite and a number of other games offline for chunks of yesterday. Epic says it's investigating and rolling out fixes, but it's another reminder that when the live service spine buckles, whole libraries go dark. Great time to rediscover offline games, or just stare at your battle pass and contemplate your life choices. Cyberpunk 2077 hits 35 million sales, and did so faster than Witcher 3. CD Projekt Red says Cyberpunk 2077 has now sold 35 million copies, and it actually hit that mark faster than The Witcher 3 did. The company's latest financials show a 148% jump in year-on-year profit, driven largely by Cyberpunk and the Phantom Liberty expansion, quietly becoming long-tail monsters. Not bad for a game that launched as a meme and a refund campaign rolled into one. It's basically speedrunning the disaster to darling arc at this point. Ubisoft defends microtransactions, saying they pay for Assassin's Creed updates. Over at Ubisoft, an Assassin's Creed Shadows director is out defending the game's microtransactions, saying these optional cosmetics and paid extras allow us to do things like Isu story content, new quests, and parkour updates. The framing is essentially buy more outfits, fund more patches. On one hand, ongoing content isn't free to make. On the other, it's pretty wild hearing a mega franchise explain basic post-launch support as a side effect of the cash shop. So yes, your fancy cloak is now part of a fashion statement, part of an infrastructure investment as well. AI disclosures make no sense for game stores, Tim Sweeney says. Epic CEO Tim Sweeney has waded into the AI disclosure debate, arguing that AI tags on game store pages make no sense because AI will be involved in nearly all future production anyway. He says disclosures are more relevant for art exhibits or licensing marketplaces where rights and authorship really matter, not for storefronts where development is already a giant tech soup. The subtext is, if everything uses AI somewhere, the label stops being useful and just becomes noise. So yes, the future might be AI in your shaders, AI in your dialogue, and zero AI icons on your store page. Death Stranding 2 On the Beach is likely bound for PC, according to new ESRB rating. Kojima fans on PC, you can probably start clearing your SSD space again. A new ESRB rating lists Death Stranding 2 On the Beach for Windows, with Sony itself named as the PC publisher instead of 505 Games this time. The sequel only launched on PS5 this year, but a rating usually means the port isn't far off. And the Game Awards on December 11th is looking like a very cozy place for an announcement, or even a cheeky shadow drop. Kojima plus Jeff Keighley plus a PC port tease? It's pretty standard at this point. Stellar Blade Studio Shift Up is teaming with Tencent to release its upcoming game, Project Spirits. Shift Up, the studio behind Stellar Blade, has signed a deal with Tencent's Level Infinite label to publish its next game, Project Spirits. It's a cross-platform Unreal Engine 5 title coming to consoles and PC, with Level Infinite handling global release, so expect heavy marketing and a strong push in Asia in particular. For Shift Up, it's a step from surprise hit into fully backed franchise territory, and for Tencent, it's yet another brick in the wall of we're quietly everywhere in your game library. A new Grasshopper Direct presentation takes place next week, featuring Romeo is a Dead Man. Suda51's Grasshopper manufacturer is back with another Grasshopper Direct next week, promising never-before-seen gameplay for its stylish action game, Romeo is a Dead Man. This will be the studio's third Direct-style show, following previous deep dives into Shadows of the Damned, Hella Remastered, and assorted eccentricities. Expect developer chat, weird humor, and combat footage that looks like it was storyboarded on the back of a napkin during a fever dream. In a good way. If you like your action games loud, colourful, and a bit unhinged, mark your calendar. 4 more games have been added to the Nintendo Switch Classics library, including Battletoads and Kid Icarus 2. Nintendo has quietly dropped 4 more titles into the Switch Classics lineup, headlined by Battletoads and Kid Icarus 2, along with updates to the NES and Game Boy apps that finally let you remap controls. It's a nice little win for people who grew up getting absolutely destroyed by Battletoads' speeder bike level and want to relive that trauma on the go. Between this and the growing back catalogue, the Switch is increasingly turning into a pocket-sized museum. Now if they could just tackle that virtual console pricing discourse from, the last decade. The Steam Machine doesn't even have to try. GameSpot ran a feature arguing that Valve's revived Steam Machine doesn't actually need to win any console war to succeed. It just has to exist as a simple, living room-friendly way into PC gaming. With specs positioned as over 6 times its Steam Deck and pricing expected to track more like a modest PC than a cheap console, analysts think it could quietly nibble away at players who are Steam-curious but allergic to building rigs. In other words, it might be the Series S of PC gaming. Not flashy, but good enough to tempt a lot of people off the fence. And if nothing else, it gives us one more box under the TV to argue about. That's all for today. Subscribe to the Video Game News Daily podcast, sign up to the mailing list at signup.videogaменewsdaily.com for all the news sources, and to get notified when a new episode drops. And send this podcast on to a friend if you know they need the news. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.